Hello, I'm Jeff Paur, Senior Writer for RealTime Fantasy Sports, and welcome to another edition of the RealTime Fantasy Sports Show. On today's show, I'm joined again by Logan Glaser, contributing writer here at RealTime Fantasy Sports. Thanks again, Logan, for joining me.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff, for having me on.
So on today's show, we're going to talk about post-draft risers and fallers. These are guys that have seen their stock either go up or down because of the recent drafts that just took place. So these are guys moving up and down in our rankings. Before we get to that, though, Logan, I want to talk about some of these new RTFC contests that we're running here at RealTime Fantasy Sports. Can you tell me a little bit about them?
Yeah, for sure. So we got a couple new RTFC contests coming out tomorrow, actually. So we've got the RTFC Pro, Super Pro, and the Invitational. The Pro will be a $500 per entry contest with $17,500 going to first place. Then we've got the Super Pro, which will be $1,000 per entry with $20,000 going to first place. And then we got the RTFC Invitational, which will be, if you're ranked inside the top 500 on RT Sports rankings page, you will be getting an invite to this contest. There will be 72 spots, $500 per entry with $10,000 going to first place.
Wow, that's awesome. New contest, pretty exciting stuff. The Invitational should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, Invitational is going to be great. Each user gets one entry, 72 total spots, so make sure to get into that. Great
stuff. Go to rtsports.com. You can sign up for any of these leagues today. Just click on that Money League link at the top of the page. And like you said, they'll be open tomorrow. We have all sorts of contests as well on there, different price points. Fantasy Championship is doing great once again. It'll sell out. I said this in the last show. Make sure you sign up sooner than later to get in that. Great contest, $500,000 this year. So, Logan, let's talk about these post-draft risers and fallers. We're going to do the risers first. Can you give me your first post-draft riser?
Yeah, my first post-draft riser is James Cook. He is probably the highest riser in terms of ADP. His ADP now is 106. He's moved up 34 spots. He landed in a great spot in Buffalo. That was kind of the place that everyone was seeing Breece Hall fall to, and it ended up being James Cook. He's got Devin Singletary that he might split some time with, but I'm liking James Cook to overall take control of that leading spot. He's the younger brother of Dalvin Cook, and he possesses a lot of the same abilities as Dalvin with his ability to run and catch.
All right, I'll give you my first riser, and it's Cordarrelle Patterson of the Atlanta Falcons, running back. He had a huge year last year, big surprise. I thought the Falcons were going to do more in the draft, maybe pick up some people as well in free agency. Haven't done that. They drafted Tyler Algier, but that was in the 5th round. I think he's a little bit more of a project. It looks like Patterson's going to get a lot of the work once again, not only as a pass catcher, but as a runner. Atlanta also just released Mike Davis. He was the guy that opened the year as a starter for Atlanta last year. He's gone. So it's Cordarrelle Patterson, and I think he's going to get a lot of work once again. Algier is a guy I'm targeting late in drafts a little bit. I think he could be a factor at some point, but right now, looks like Patterson is the guy in Atlanta, and he's moving up my rankings because of that. All right, give me another one of your risers, Logan.
Yeah, my second riser is Rashad Bateman. He's gone up 23 spots in the ADP since the draft, and that's solely based off of Marquis Brown being traded away to Arizona. Rashad Bateman didn't have the greatest season last year. He only had one game over 100 yards and only one touchdown, but he got a lot of hype going into the season. For a rookie, that's not bad. He put up over 500 yards, but with Marquis Brown out of the picture, he's going to be the clear-cut number one in Baltimore, and I expect him to get a lot more targets this year.
All right, my second riser is a guy you were just talking about, Marquis Brown. I see his stock going way up. He moves from a run-first offense that didn't involve him a lot on a weekly basis to a pass-first offense where he could be the number one receiver for much of the year. DeAndre Hopkins is suspended for the first 6 games because of his failed drug test. Marquis Brown moves to Arizona. I think he's going to get a ton of work. He's going to be a great fit for that offense. He's going to post career numbers for Arizona this year, and he's going way up my draft boards at this point. I just took him in one of my leagues in the 2nd round. I'm doing a lot of these best ball leagues for the CTW, Colton and Wolfman show, and Marquis Brown's been a target for me in those drafts, moving way up my draft boards. All right, another riser, last one for you, Logan. Who do you got?
Yeah, my third riser is going to be Drake London. Being drafted to Atlanta, they have no wide receivers basically, with Calvin Ridley being suspended for the year. He immediately moves to the number one option for the wide receiver core for Atlanta. You also got Kyle Pitts in the offense, but then the big question mark will be Marcus Mariota with that offense. Can he distribute the ball and get London and Pitts the touches? That's going to be the big question with the offense, but as long as Mariota's putting over 200-plus yards a game, I like London in that offense.
Yeah, the volume will definitely be there for London. My last riser is Jalen Hurts of the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles made a huge splash right before the draft. A.J. Brown they acquired. They finally got that elite number one receiver on their team. That's a huge plus for Hurts. Now he has Devonta Smith, A.J. Brown, and Dallas Goedert on his side. Miles Sanders also catches the ball well, but A.J. Brown's a huge factor for Hurts' development. I know he has accuracy issues at times, but I think Brown's really going to help him in that area. He can catch nearly everything thrown his way. I think Hurts is going to have a huge season because of that. He could possibly be top 5 fantasy quarterback in my eyes. I think getting A.J. Brown just a huge advantage for Hurts, and he's moving up my draft board because of that. All right, let's talk about the exact opposite. Guys going down your draft board, Logan, because of the draft, what took place, maybe trades, guys that were drafted. Who's a faller for you in your post-draft rankings?
Yeah, my number one faller this year will be Chris Carson, based off of the NFL draft. Seattle drafted Kenneth Walker, and they also have Rashad Penny. That is a very crowded backfield. I'm going to completely stay away from Seattle's backfield and Miami's backfield this year, just because of how crowded those backfields are looking to start the year.
I can definitely agree with you there, most definitely. And so here's one of my first fallers. It's Justin Fields. I like Justin Fields as a quarterback and a fantasy quarterback. I think he can do good things, but look at that receiver room. I'm going to read you the receiver room in Chicago right now. Darnell Mooney, Byron Pringle, Velus Jones, David Moore, Daz Newsome, Taji Sharp, Equanimeous St. Brown. These guys are not great in the receiver room at all. I like Mooney a lot. I think he's going to get a ton of volume, but man, that receiver room is brutal. They didn't really help him during the draft. I like Jones. I think he's more of a straight line runner, though. He's going to be more of a big play threat for that offense and not really be the volume type receiver that I think Justin Fields could use. More of a project, in my opinion. I don't think Pringle's going to come in and do much as well. He could be the starter opposite Mooney. So I think Chicago did Fields a disservice by not getting him much help in the passing game at all. And I think he could not reach his potential because of that. So I'm kind of moving Fields down in my rankings at this point. Don't like him a lot. All right, Logan, who's another faller for you after this?
Yeah, my second faller is going to be Michael Carter for the New York Jets. He's gone down 16 spots in the last since the NFL draft. The Jets drafted Breece Hall, and Breece Hall was ranked the top running back coming into the draft class, and I expect him to immediately take over that backfield. I do think there is still a role for Michael Carter in that backfield, but not at the price that people are going to be paying up at rounds 4 or 5 for Michael Carter. I expect him to drop even farther as we move longer into the offseason.
Yep, I agree. Another one of my fallers, Chase Claypool, receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't think it bodes well for Claypool that the Steelers used a second-round pick on George Pickens. Very talented receiver. A lot of people thought he could go in the first round, fell to the second, but I don't think this bodes well for Claypool, who has fewer than 900 yards each of his first 2 seasons. He had big red zone numbers his rookie year. Last year, didn't find the end zone quite as much. He has maturity issues. He's inconsistent when he's on the field. I'm not sure the coaching staff in Pittsburgh likes him as well, and I think that's why they took Pickens, and I don't think this really bodes well for Claypool, plus that quarterback situation worries me in Pittsburgh as well. So I have Claypool moving down my draft boards at this point. All right, give me your last faller, Logan.
Yeah, my third faller is Amon St. Brown. I also had him as a fade in an earlier video, but I'm just not high on him this year. You got Detroit, they got so many different targets. They've got TJ Hawkinson, DeAndre Swift, now they got Jameson Williams, and then we got Amon St. Brown is there. Detroit is struggled last year to find the end zone, and now they've got 4 different targets that they're going to with that offense, and there's just too much to go around to get Amon St. Brown the volume that he got in the last 6 games last year.
All right, my last faller is tight end Zach Ertz of the Arizona Cardinals. He signed big offseason deal. They signed him to an extension. looking good. I felt like he could be a top 10 option. Then they go and draft Trey McBride in the draft. McBride was considered the top tight end, rookie tight end in this year's draft. He's going to be in the mix for playing time. I think he's going to take some of the volume from Ertz. I don't think it bodes well for his targets on a weekly basis. So I don't see Ertz as being able to reach his ceiling as long as McBride's around. They didn't draft him as high as they did to sit him on the bench. He's going to be an option in that passing game, and I have Ertz fading because of that. All right, Logan, those are our top 3 risers and fallers post-draft. I appreciate you joining me once again. I think it's a good, informative show for everybody, and they can take note, adjust their rankings accordingly. Thanks again for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Jeff. Appreciate it.
All right, this has been Jeff Paur for RealTime Fantasy Sports.
And this has been Logan Glaser from RealTime Fantasy Sports.
Have a great day, everyone.